That's really the first step is like, all right, I know what the end goal is, but why do I want to leave Google? Why do I want to leave my W-2? Why do I want to buy this first property? Because when you connect back with that why, that's really what's going to pull you forward when things do get scary.
I know it's our secret sauce at STR Secrets is really helping people get clarity on that and getting them out of their own way, because the system works. Like, we've helped thousands of people at this point.
That really fired me up to expose properties that are very poorly managed. And so every single day in the Facebook group, I post leads of properties that are poorly managed. You can go use the UI method to reach out to the homeowner and, ultimately save them.
What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sjogren, here as always with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's up, E?
My brother. So good to see you. I am still running on high from our Orlando event last week. Just so much fun, man. Like I was sharing this on the show. There was this moment, man, where the event was over. We're just all hanging out. And it just felt so special. And the best way I had to describe it, I was describing it to Sandra. I'm like, it almost felt like I would imagine a parent feels when he sees his kid having a good time with all of his friends. And you know that you have like contributed to creating that space. And it was just so rewarding, right? Like so rewarding. The speakers were great. The event was great. I got to do my first. So I've been training to learn how to do hypnotherapy to help out myself, Mike, but some of our members as well, really locking in some of those new self-image, new thoughts, new suggestions. And I was honored to be able to do my first session for a group for a boardroom. Yeah, man, we just had a great time. And I always love seeing you, right? Like when I get to see you in person, Danny, there's behind the scenes that always makes everything more fun. Beth, right? Like we have such a beautiful team that I just feel so grateful that this is life, right? Like it's just
it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, we definitely knock out a lot of like business stuff, as far as helping them from a business and efficiency and operations standpoint, and then we blended in some health stuff, some personal development stuff, and then had plenty of time for fun, which I was missing that for a while, when you get caught in the weeds and you're just building and building and building. So it was important to incorporate that. So seeing a bunch of, midlife people bombing around Universal, going on roller coasters and getting giddy. It was a lot of fun, and everybody had a great time and took a lot of lessons out of it, and they're fired up for the next one. So super grateful for that group, very special group to us. And yeah, man. And speaking of special people, episode today, we've got Mike Reilly on the show. He's been a guest in the past. He shares his journey, how he went back in 2020, started working with us, got his first deal. Now he's got around 29. He's got a big game plan to get a large exit on his business. And he's also the chief operating officer at STR Secrets. So he's running the entire coaching operation. If you're in the Short-Term Rental Secrets Facebook group, you see him every single week doing live trainings and all sorts of things. And we've got a very, very special update at the very end of the show. So make sure you stick around to the end. Very big announcement for STR Secrets. So without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode with the one and only Mike Reilly. All right. What's going on, Mike? Welcome to the show, dude.
Not a whole lot, man. I'm doing awesome.
So I don't even remember the last time we had you on the podcast. I feel like it's been at least a year, maybe 2 years. E, do you remember?
or at least 2. Easy 2.
So yeah, Mike's one of the OGs. I met Mike in, was it January 2020?
Yeah, January 2020.
January 2020, and you were just looking to get into your first short-term rental property. And you were a Googler. Had the dream life working for Google. So what the hell happened? Walk us through the journey.
Yeah, I mean, 2019 was a pretty interesting year for my fiance and I. Yeah, we weren't even married at the time yet. Or maybe we were just boyfriend and girlfriend. But 2019 was a big year. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and took a new job there. Grew up pretty much my whole life in North Carolina, and got a job at Google, and really it was my dream job. It was like the job I always wanted. It was something that I'd worked towards since graduating college, and just kind of working my way up the corporate ladder. And then I realized I was traveling nonstop. I was barely seeing Sierra. I did like 150 nights in a hotel in 2019, and part of traveling too was also good because I got to learn a lot when I was in the car or in the airports. I would just throw on podcasts, and Jocko podcast was one of my favorites, and he was actually on Bigger Pockets, and that's how I got hooked on Bigger Pockets. And so I started listening, and I was like, man, it would be great to make an extra $2,000 a month through real estate. And so I just started reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts. And then I heard your podcast on, I forget which podcast it was, but just your story. Yeah, it was John's podcast. It really resonated with me, just your story about Caden and how, you worked hard to build this business for your family, essentially. And I just really resonated with that. And then picked short-term rentals after having a call with you, and was like, all right, I remember that feeling in my stomach of like making an offer on my first short-term rental, but now looks a lot different now. We own 6, and then we manage another 23 currently, all in the state of North Carolina. So lots happened in the last 4 or 5 years since we met.
Yeah. And then you've evolved quite a bit too. Once you get to the point, you left your job in 21.
Yeah, I left Google in June of 2022.
June 2022. Leading up to the first WealthCon, which was pretty cool. You and Petsy both had liberated wings going into that event. And and then you wanted to start giving back a bit and started helping coach at STR Secrets. I mean, you pretty much did everything. Like, you were coaching, you were doing some sales stuff, you were doing some marketing stuff, you were kind of like a 2-man band back then, just pretty much doing everything. And then fast forward a couple of years, now you're the chief operating officer running the whole shebang, dude. It's been pretty wild at this point, your trajectory.
It has been wild. It feels like it's been so long too, but it's only been 5 years since we first met. So we've done a lot in the last 5 years. And I just love coaching and, seeing other people hit their goals and do the same thing. Like, not everybody wants to leave their W-2 or leave their dream job, but I think everybody wants to have control of their time. And that's what I love teaching, is just showing people that, like, you can take control of your time no matter what type of job you have or home situation you have as well. Time's the only thing we can't get back or create more of. So helping people figure that out is what I love doing. I think what I'm here for.
I would agree. And I'm curious now. I mean, you've coached hundreds of people at this point. We were just busting each other's chops offline. So we track anytime somebody gets financially free, we give them what's called a Freedom Award, which we started doing a year or two ago. And I set up a leaderboard for the coaches to see who has the most Freedom Awards for their students. And Reilly's got the most, more than me. And I was like, damn, how's he got more than me at this point? But he's a pretty damn good coach. I'll just put it that way. And he's helped a lot of people. And I'm curious, are there certain patterns that you see that once you help the students overcome, it's like they're off to the races? Like, if you had to put some different themes together for the listeners of, like, if they're feeling stuck, whether it's their first deal, their 50th deal, like what have you seen holds people back?
Yeah, I think, it's funny. I'll give you really 3 things. The first one is just a clear plan, and sitting down and creating a clear plan and a clear why you want to execute that plan. So that's really the first step, is like, all right, I know what the end goal is, but why do I want, to leave Google? Why do I want to leave my W-2? Why do I want to buy this first property? Because when you connect back with that why, that's really what's going to pull you forward when things do get scary. Because anytime you do something new, whether it's, going to a new job interview, or buying your first home, or going to a new jujitsu gym like I did a couple weeks ago, like, you're outside your comfort zone. It's something new. So you need to tie back the why to it, and just remember that, like, all right, I'm here for a reason, and I'm doing this for a reason. So that's the first big thing, is like, the people that have left their jobs like really, really fast are ones that had really strong whys and were connected with them and didn't forget those whys. So that's I think the first like step to success. And then the second one is just persistence. And like it's really, it's weird to talk about because everybody talks about it, but being able to consistently make progress every single day. One of the things I have my students do is just write down your goal every single day. I'm so happy and grateful now that it's September 2022 and I've left my full-time job at Google to pursue my true calling of being a full-time entrepreneur. That's what I wrote down every single day from 2021 to 2022. And you helped me with that as well. Write that and create that in a reminder. And I listened to that podcast. I forget what episode it is, but the podcast you guys did at the beginning of 2021 really changed the direction for me because that's when I started writing down my goal every day. And when you do that, it makes it real. When you put it in the future tense, it makes it real. And you're writing it down. You're doing an activity that is impressing your subconscious that it's going to happen. It makes it way more real than, as opposed to like more of a pipe dream. Because you can be really excited at the beginning once you create that goal. And we all do this. I do this all the time. I probably do it daily. I set this new goal or I think about this new idea and I get really excited about it. But then it kind of fizzles because I don't think about it enough, which means it's just not important enough. So if it's important enough, you have that why, you write down your goal every day, and you make progress towards it every day. I mean, those are really two simple things to have success in anything, whether it's short-term rentals or hotels or, learning a new language or learning golf, learning a new skill. And if you have those two things, you can really be successful.
By the way, Mike has become my
and it's hard to teach that instructor too. Like golf's tough. Golf's a really tough game. There's things that are harder, but it's hard to teach like those intangibles, the why. I can help people find their why, but it's got to come from them. I can't give them their own reason or their own why. But the ones who have the strongest ones and can create that clarity for themselves too, they find it the quickest.
I would love for you to tell us more on that. So what is something that you find is helpful as you're walking people through understanding what their why is, right? And how much do you dig?
Who is it? I think it's Dean. Dean's got in his book, Dean Graziosi, The 7 Layers of Why. Mm-hmm. That's really helped me get deeper. So basically his framework is, you set a goal or you want to do something and you ask yourself why 7 different times. And you have to answer the question why 7 different times. So, all right, I want to leave my W-2. Why do I want to do that? Well, I want to have financial freedom. Okay. What does that mean? What do I do if I have all the money in the world? Well, I get to choose what I do when I want to do it. Okay. Why is that important to me? Well, for me, it was like my dad and my parents did everything they could for me to give me that opportunity. So I should do the same thing for my kids. Okay. Why is that important to me? Well, it's important to me because really we're only here for a certain amount of time. We're not here for long. What's the average age? 76 years. So how big of an impact can I make on them and they make on their kids and their kids while I'm here? And it just trickles down. Okay, well, why is that important to me? And just continue asking yourself like why, and then you'll typically find yourself in an emotional state or maybe in some tears. I'd say those are when the breakthroughs really happen. Is when you can really draw the emotion in, and it's not something that like we learn in school either. Like they, really like you grow up like they tell you not to get upset, right? They tell you to calm down. They tell you to, be quiet. They don't tell you to speak up or say what you want. And at some point, we kind of lose that creativity, I think, just because it's not what society wants us to do. Society kind of wants us to go get a job in corporate, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we kind of lose our creativity. And the creators in this world are the ones who are making big moves. and leaving big legacies. So, yeah, if you continue to ask yourself, why do I want to hit this goal, and just dig a little bit deeper, and get some help too, get some outside help. Like my 5-year vision that I've got, I send it to everybody, and I ask them, everybody that's, I think is important in my life, I share it with them so that they also know why I'm doing it and what I'm doing too, what my goals are.
There's two parts to this game in real estate or in business in general, right? One is the mechanical side of things with your systems, your process, your structure, your team, all of that. And then there's this other side, like that internal world of the development and the clarity and elevating yourself as a person and your leadership skills and your emotional intelligence and all those things. And I started out on the mechanical side based on my background as an auditor, and I was really good with systems and process and building SOPs and structure and all this stuff. But as I started getting into coaching, I found that you need all of those things. But ironically, the biggest bottleneck is the personal side and the clarity side. So I think that's one of the, I know it's our secret sauce at STR Secrets is really helping people get clarity on that and getting them out of their own way, because the system works. Like, we've helped thousands of people at this point. I think we've helped over 400 or 500 people get to 6 figures and above. And it's always the mental side that moves the needle the most. And I think, watching you and Chris Petsy and some of the OGs that have come on board to help with the coaching, like the biggest leaps that I've seen from you guys in business has also come on the back of a lot of like personal work. And I think that's where we get a lot of fulfillment. Once you have those light bulb moments and you see the light bulb moments for the students, then things really start ramping up. And it was really cool at the last boardroom event where we let a couple folks in that don't necessarily qualify for boardroom, but they won a contest that we ran in Q4. Whoever generated the most co-hosting deals, like signed deals in Q4, got to go to the event. And it was pretty neck and neck the whole time. But I think Merritt had 30 something. What do you have? 34? It's like some obscene amount. Do you know, Mike?
Something like that. It was like, I don't know off the top of my head, but it was definitely more than 30 in
a single quarter.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was between Black Friday. It was between Thanksgiving and end of the year.
So 30 something deals in 6 weeks. And I was talking to him at the event. Same thing with Luke and Beth, who also had around 30. And a lot of it was just what we were just saying, like between their ears. Like, it wasn't really like system changes or different marketing tweaks or anything like that. It was just like they just started to believe that they could do it, and they started expecting to close deals, and they just did, right? And it was really cool to catch up with them. But switching gears here for a second. So you're at 29 properties now. If we look at like where you're spending your time, like where do you think how many hours a week are you allocating to the properties versus like the coaching and the STR secret stuff?
The properties are probably about, I would say 3 to 4 hours a week on the properties. And I've switched up my schedule a lot. And really right now, Wednesdays, I have my team call on Mondays, but Wednesdays are the days where I focus on business development, sales, and then also developing my team. So I have my one-on-ones with my operations manager on Wednesdays. And that's when we go through KPIs. And then I mainly take the sales calls and stuff like that on Wednesdays too. So about 4 hours a week on NC Stays, which is my company. We actually just rebranded. I should have worn my other hat too, but I got my STR Secrets hat on. I can't not be on the podcast and don't have my STR Secrets hat on. But we just rebranded to NC Stays. So we have properties all over North Carolina. When I first started this, we were living in Nashville, and we were about 7 hours from our first property, 7-hour drive. And as I was growing, we really just took on deals wherever, like anywhere in North Carolina. So we've got properties in Brevard, near Asheville, Boone, Banner Elk, Pinehurst. We had one in Raleigh. I sold that one. And then where I live here in New Bern, North Carolina, it's a small town, but it's a very historic and vacation-y type of market too. We got a bunch of properties here and then down at the beach. So my goal is to focus more on the beach properties. And then, I've hired, just in this off season, I've hired 3 different people, 2 like what I call local co-hosts, or really like local managers that are going to help me with quality control and boots on the ground. And then I've got 3 virtual assistants, 1 lead, and then 2 basically guest services people. So, growing and developing them. I think we should double this year in the amount of properties that we're able to take on just with the current team that we have. So that's been my focus this off season. And now it's just, let's go grab some more properties, ideally down here at the beach, which is about 30 minutes from me. And, my goal is in 5 years from now, sell the business for $5 million and then go reinvest that into hotels and other, more passive assets. Because at that time, Palmer will be 8, Woods will be 6, my daughter and son, and then we'll have another one at some point in the next year or 2. We don't have any surprises for you guys today. We're not pregnant or anything, but that'll happen in the next year or 2, and maybe a 4th. So we'll see. But there'll be 8, 6, and whatever the other 1 or 2 is. And, we'll be able to focus on spending more time with them or start and build other businesses too. So that's the main focus. And then the coaching and growing STR Secrets, we've implemented EOS and Traction and just implemented that system. So the coaching team, the marketing team, the fulfillment team, just everybody is all working in one smooth system. And it's been a lot of fun to be the integrator, the COO, and just see all those like departments come together and all help people, leave their W-2 or hit their goals through short-term rentals and hotels. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of admin stuff, a lot of automation stuff. But now we have 25 people at the company, 26, 27. So, just seeing everyone's individual goals too, because that's developing people and working with people. I'm a connector. So when I first met you, Mike, we connected, but I knew you were a process guy, and I learned the process and SOPs from you. And I've kind of developed that skill, but I'm at the end of the day, I'm a people person. And then being able to implement the process, combine that with the people, and then get results. That's what I love doing and seeing. So, and I just, like I said, I love seeing people leave their W-2s like Sam or like Chris and just have the time freedom to do whatever the heck they want to do. That's ultimately what really lights me up and why I spend so much more time on this than this year. Yeah. Than growing NC Stays.
So brother, when you think about growing NC Stays with the clear idea of what the exit is, right? And if there's somebody listening to the show now that's like, dude, that sounds awesome, I want to do the same thing. I know you have dedicated a lot of time in learning and understanding what are all the components that need to be there in order for you to get to that angle, right? Because obviously to sell it for that, people don't want a messy business. They want something that is a well-oiled machine, right? So with the 5-year timeline, if anybody else wants to be in the same journey as you, what are some of the things that you have implemented, or you're focusing on implementing that are going to help you get the $5 million exit 5 years from now?
Yeah, good question. So I met a guy named Jacoby Olin. I'll give him a shout out. He's the owner of C2G Advisors. He's based in Nashville, or just south of Nashville. And he runs the biggest short-term rental property management company brokerage in the country. So he does a lot of mergers and acquisitions for short-term rental companies. And I got introduced by one of my other buddies, Mike Elefante, to him. And he was like, hey, you should meet this guy. And so we just chatted, and he was an open book. He gave me a lot of information of like, here's the things you should do. And here's how you can drive your valuation of your property management company higher. And so there's really like 3 different buckets that he talked about. The first bucket is, if you have like less than 50 properties or 50 contracts, you can sell those contracts for typically like 1x the management income. So if you got a property that's bringing in $100K a year and you charge 20% as a management fee. That's 20 grand. You can typically sell that contract for about 20 grand. So if you have 50 of those, whatever the math is on that, that's $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, it's $1 million. Your company's worth $1 million. So, you can sell your company for $1 million. Now, if you have more than 50 properties, then typically that's when you get some higher dollar and maybe private equity or some hedge funds that are looking at your company. And they will pay and value your company based on EBITDA, not based on the management income. So earnings before interest, taxes, debt, and
Appreciation.
Yeah. So
Mike is still here,
so
guys.
when you have
He hasn't lost it. He still knows. He still knows his abbreviation and slangs.
So that can sell for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x EBITDA. And that's what Vacasa was doing in 2019, 2020, 2021. They were just buying up management companies for 4, 5, 6, 7x multiples. And they had trouble scaling, obviously. We know that. But so there's really those two buckets. So for us, we're at 29 properties. I think we need to get to about, Mike, we did the math. It was like 120 really good properties in order to get that $5 million valuation. And that was at a 3x multiple. So that being said, there are other things that typically happen. So first of all, the sale of the company is not typically, if you're in a contract for 5 million, typically that escrow period is like a year or two. So there's typically some sort of KPIs that you need to hit during that escrow period. So a lot of the times, if the contract price is 5 million, there'll be a 2-year escrow period. You may get half of it up front. And then in order to get the other half, you need to hit certain KPIs. And that can be like, retention of properties. It could be growth of the amount of properties. It could be retention of current staff as well, and making sure current people stay on. So I think a lot of what we've seen with Vacasa buying all these management companies, especially in the beach markets and like these vacation rental markets, they had contracts to buy those companies, but a lot of times in those contracts, it was written that the general manager or whoever was actually like running that business locally had to stay on for a couple of years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And what we're seeing is those people are now leaving. And that's where the local operations have had a lot of trouble with Vacasa in these, markets where they've purchased these companies. Up in the Pacific Northwest where Vacasa started, they still have very strong foothold there and they have very strong operations. But in all these other markets where they went public as a public company, they took, those investments, they bought management companies and it's really failed for them. And that's why we saw them sell to Costco. So that's another, KPI is having local staff basically running that business, because the companies that are paying 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7x EBITDA are paying for the cash flow, and they're also paying for the people that are running that business. So they want to make sure that's dialed in. And then obviously there's other things too that Jacoby told me is, the contracts need to be assignable. You need to have 12, 24-month contracts in place. A lot of things like that just help drive the valuation of the company up.
How are you protecting yourself? How are you protecting yourself with that? So like, if now that you had this conversation with your local co-hosts, right, and you brought in those local co-hosts, is that a conversation that you're having with them from now? Or how are you
as far as like my plan?
Yeah, like, hey, like if this happens 5 years from now, understanding that like this is what the plan is. Because obviously for me, that's a big component of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I have 100% equity in the company right now. So that's kind of my pitch. It's like, well, if we grow, there's equity available and this is the plan. So it's, to me, I look at it as an incentive. If somebody came to me with that plan right now, I'd be like, yeah, like I want to grow this. Give me some KPIs, give me some equity. I'll grow to get some equity. Let's go. So that's one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm looking for a person down at the beach, a real estate agent. If you're in Morehead City, Beaufort, Atlantic Beach area, and you're listening to this, I'd love to partner with you. If you're looking to sign 20, 30, 40 contracts this year, sell some really nice homes, buy some really nice homes with investors, and grow NC stays, there's equity available. So that's kind of what my plan is going forward. So that's, ultimately I can't do everything. So getting the right people on the bus is the only way we'll get to 5 million. It is the way we will get to 5 million. So that's what I'm excited about as well. Because that's life-changing money for the people on the team too.
One of the things that's been really cool, we talk about it quite a bit on the podcast, but if you have not already, join the STR Secrets Facebook group. Like, there's so much value in there. And Mike does live trainings in there every single week where he's giving actionable content, actionable strategies that he's using right now. And all of our STR Secrets mastermind members are using to grow their portfolios, right? Like, adding 30 to 40 deals in a 6-week period is based on a repeatable system that we have. And one thing that people don't realize, like, Mike Reilly here is behind all of that. And he's even giving away free co-hosting leads for free in the Short-Term Rental Secrets Facebook group every single day. Like, I totally forgot you were doing that, dude. And I was in there the other day. I'm like, he's still going. Like 8 months in, 9 months in, every day there's a new co-hosting lead that Mike and the team go out, identify as an underperforming property, send the listing. If you're in this market, this lead is prime, and here's how you can reach out to them every day for free, right? And so there's so much value in that group. And Mike is so active in that group that more people know who Mike is in that group than know E or myself at this point. And to me, that's amazing. I mean, it means that we've grown a strong team and that we've got leaders within the team that can go out and add value. And then when I jump in here and there, they're like, wait, who's this dude? I have no idea who this guy is. I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of behind the scenes now at this point because we've got an amazing team. With that being said, I was going to say, we've got a pretty big announcement for the podcast that ties in with the Facebook group. And so we're coming up on 6 years of E and I doing this podcast. It'll be 6 years this year. And I made a decision that it's going to be time to pass the baton over to Mike Reilly to tag team the STR Secrets podcast with E for a bit. And we may be bringing on another guest that we will name unnamed for now, because I've got another project that I'm really excited about that I can't talk about yet that will be coming out. But at this point, Mike knows STRs better than I do. And I will fully admit that because he's been in the game, he's focused. The last couple of years I've done some deals, but I've also been focused a lot around the hotels and our executive coaching through the boardroom and our mindset work. And so that's my passion. That's what I've been focusing on. And Mike's really taken the STR stuff and run with it with some of the other coaches in the program. And so it only made sense to pass him the baton here for the STR Secrets podcast. And I know he's going to crush it. And I'll do some guest appearances here and there, but he's definitely earned his stripes. And
maybe if we invite you back, you can come back and do some guest.
Yeah. So I'm excited for Mike. I know he's going to crush it. He's added so much value in the community, both in the coaching community, the mastermind, and inside of the free group, that it only made sense for him to take over the reins here of the podcast as well. So super excited for Mike, super excited for you guys because he is a wealth of knowledge, and I learn stuff from him every single week when it comes to short-term rentals at this point. So
And
the
golf.
student has become the teacher, and golf. Yeah. I mean, this dude, I call him butter because his swing is just butter. But
yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm excited to do this every single week. I mean, like you said, I've been, if you're not in the Facebook group, get in there because I'm in there answering questions. I know I'm asking questions too. I do post those leads daily. And that all started, it was interesting. This was November of 2023. My HOA, where I manage 5 properties, I own 2 properties, sent out an email while I was at a boardroom event saying, basically to 1,600 homeowners, and there's about 100 short-term rental homeowners, but basically saying, hey guys, no more short-term rentals overnight. It was like starting next year. So I was like, oh man, I've got a month and then I can't rent out short-term anymore. And found out that it was because there was 2 homes in the community that were managed by, one was managed by Vacasa, one was managed by Evolve, that were problem houses. That was the only reason the HOA just said, hey guys, no more short-term rentals. We can't handle that anymore. And so that really fired me up to expose properties that are very poorly managed. And so every single day in the Facebook group, I post leads of properties that are poorly managed by either Vacasa or Evolve. And so we can expose those poorly managed properties, and then you guys, I will, send you the link to those properties. If you go in and comment, I'll send you the link to those properties, and then you can go use the UI method to reach out to the homeowner and ultimately save them, because Airbnb is getting a bad reputation in our cities, our towns, our states, our HOAs. Like, they're getting regulated, and it's, in my opinion, because of the big property managers that just don't care about the homes. They don't care about the homeowners. They're too big and they care about profits, which, it is what it is. They play a different game. So the boutique short-term rental property managers, co-hosts, are the ones who are really going to grow. And Airbnb, give Airbnb a good reputation again in our neighborhoods, and really just be good neighbors. And so, companies like ours, your company, and then everybody in the short-term rental secrets mastermind and in the Facebook group, like, we all want to do that. We're all striving to do that. So that's why I post those leads daily. And then that's why I'm pumped to do the podcast more and share more of what I'm doing, and really learn too. I learned from a lot of people as well by doing this podcast. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm super stoked to make short-term rentals great again with you. So I think that's gonna be an awesome.
I didn't say it.
An awesome journey.
I didn't want to say it.
You kind of said it. So I just took the leap and said it myself. And again, I'm really looking forward. Again, the last 6 years with Mike has been so much fun for me. And again, similar to what you said, right, just now, right? Like, I love this because I get to learn so much. And I know by you coming on, we'll naturally have a different set of people that we know, and then we can kind of like have on the show. And so I'm really looking forward to bringing that to the community and to continue to like serve and help. We had a moment at the boardroom event this past week. On the last day, we ended the event, and everybody was in the room with guitars out. People were singing, and it just, I don't know how it felt for you, Mike, but for me, it felt so meaningful. Like, it felt so meaningful that we have cultivated and created this community where that happens. And the fact that we had a bunch of 35, 40-year-olds giggling around Universal for a whole day, jumping on rides, running around, drinking butter beers. Like, it was just such a good time that I'm like, I want us to continue to do this at the highest level. And I know Reilly coming in and the next project that you and I are working on, it's just going to help us do that for more people, right? So I'm super stoked for what's coming, because we're going to have a lot of fun.
100%, man. 100%. So it is official, ladies and gents. Mike Reilly is officially the new co-host with E of the STR Secrets podcast. I'm going to be doing the Homer Simpson thing, back into the bush, kind of disappearing for a little bit to work on this other project I got lined up for you guys. But I'm really excited for you. You are in very, very capable hands. And I know he's going to take the show to a whole new level and continue to deliver amazing value for you guys. So appreciate all of you that have been listening, especially since the beginning. Again, I am still involved heavily at STR Secrets. This has been my baby for 6 years at this point, but time to give Mike the reins and let him run with it for the podcast. So again, amazing run. Super excited to see what you guys do with it. Appreciate all of you guys. Have an amazing week. We'll talk to you soon.
Ciao, guys.